there was this idea for a book. One that originated in the writing and journal writing workshops I'd been conducting over the years. And specifically in the writing exercises I designed to help people get the most out of their writing and journal writing experience. Over time, many people in those workshops started asking me, so when are you going to put all these exercises in a book? It took a while to take them seriously, but then I did seriously start writing the book, Finding Your Voice, Telling Your Stories, about 3 or 4 years ago. In the process, though, I realized that there was no energy, no juice in the book. I was just basically listing the instructions for each of the writing exercises. It was boring. But then, and I'm not sure when or how, I decided to tell the story of what inspired one of the exercises. Weather stories. I remember teaching a workshop in Chicago on one of the coldest nights in the city's recorded history. It was scheduled on a Monday in January at a bookstore up the street from where I lived. The bookstore owner, a worried sound in her voice, called earlier in the day asking if I was sure I wanted to hold the workshop. She too was listening to the hourly weather reports that predicted an evening low of minus 25 degrees. I told her I shared her concern, but that people were still calling throughout the day to register. By the time we gathered at 7 p.m., the store's large plate glass windows had frosted over, and the bathrooms in the back were unusable. The water pipes had frozen. But 10 of us intrepid writers sat huddled on folding chairs in a warm circle, most with our coats on, and for 2 hours wrote and talked about writing. I can see us there still, our soft laughter punctuated by short bursts of frosted breath. This is one of my favorite cold weather stories. I have hot weather ones as well, and also stories about Chicago winds so fierce that migrating birds took refuge on high-rise ledges, and of blizzards that raged sideways down the Magnificent Mile, and of ghostly fogs off Lake Michigan, and so on. Great, I thought. Now I've got the format for the book. I'll introduce the exercises with my own personal story or anecdote or observation, and then follow that with 3 or 4 writing prompts. That worked for a while until I started to get bored again. This time with the solitary sound of my own voice. Storytelling is a communal experience, one shared among people for the enjoyment and illumination of all, both the storytellers and their listeners. So I started enlisting others to tell their stories, the people who show up in my workshops, family and friends, to add to the book, to round it out, to enrich it. From among those who submitted their stories, I selected 32, all of which appear in the book. Many of those 32 writers are with us tonight, and some will be reading their stories. I hope you enjoy hearing them as much as I did, and still do. So what I'm going to do, we have 8 readers here tonight, and of the 32. And what I'm going to do is, I haven't told them in what order, because if it were me, it would make me crazy. So I haven't told them in what order, so I'm just going to call their names, and then I'm going to tell you which of their stories followed which exercise. So there's 3 major chapters in the book, telling stories about people, place-based stories, and then what the publisher called more life experiences and what I called story topics. So Muriel responded to the exercise in the people chapter on telling stories about friends, past and present.